Okay, today is Thursday. I think it's the last day of November. Um, I guess I'll just start off. So, I haven't worked in the past few days. I've been eating all day throughout the day. Um, Now, I've only been on fruit. See, the veggies I have been eating over the past 5.5 months have been either pickled, because I make my own pickled vegetables, and then I make my own what's the other one? Fermented vegetables. And since I'm getting ready to go on this solid food vacation and just do juices, homemade juices, I am, I cleared out. I haven't been making any more of those. So I finished the last of that like over a week ago. So and I'd say over the past 5.5 months, 80%, maybe more of what I eat every day has been fruits, besides the pistachios that I eat. Um, so yeah, just a quick update on that. And I'm not saying that I'm not trying to push a type of food to eat. I originally got off of meat and did fruit and a raw fruit and raw vegetable diet because for my health. Um, because your body's able to process that. And it's actually food. It actually contains nutrition. It actually has biophotons. It's actually a living, it's living. Whereas, meat is dead. I mean, we're eating the rotten carcass of dead animals. That's disgusting. The only way that we would even think to do something like that is through programming. But I just want to start there because, so now several days later, after eating throughout the day, all day long, grapes and strawberries and melons and those things, I still get inflammation. I still get stomach issues. I still get brain fog. I still get the desire for more. All of those things. So, it's not like if you go on a raw food diet, it's going to solve all your problems, because that's not the only thing we're dealing with here. This is not a single level healing process. This is a multi-layered, every perspective, every approach. It took us decades and decades to become so extremely toxic and sickened with a biological system that renews itself constantly and is doing everything it can to keep up and to work optimally, even with us toxifying it constantly for decades. And so, it's not like you're just going to heal like that. It's not going to happen, guys. This isn't a miracle cure. This isn't a pill that you pop in your mouth and blah, everything's fine now. It took work I mean, how many times did you toxify yourself and eat things and knowing that you were going to have heartburn, knowing that you're going to suffer with diarrhea or constipation or, just feeling like shit, drinking, to the point of, falling over, knowing that you're going to be so hungover the next day and your body was going to pay for it. Well, your body just didn't pay for it then, because this has been an ongoing daily. What do you do on your hangover the next day? You eat processed junk. You love to eat. When you're hungover, you love to eat, processed food and fast food and greasy, fatty food. It takes that hangover away. And we're like, oh, look, I'm curing a hangover. You're curing symptoms. You're jumping from one symptom to another by hitting dopamine, by hitting, whatever, to take the focus off of whatever your body's trying to fix at that moment. You're now, giving your body something else to work on. and it just conglomerates, and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. It's like for me, for 43 years, until I get to this point 44 years later, and now I'm having to untangle and fix all this, and I don't expect it to be an overnight thing. Mainly because, this is a mental thing, and I'm still running off of old programming that was instilled in me, that was purposefully instilled in me through this construction, through this narrative that this matrix has laid down for us, to keep us enslaved. And and those programmings become habits, and what that does is that we are basically our own jailer. We're mentally enslaved, and we keep ourselves enslaved by being our own jailer. It's like the perfect jailer program. We don't even need an outside source keeping an eye on most of us, because we do enough of our own destruction and enslavement. We make sure that we keep ourselves enslaved. So it's a mental game. It's about breaking mental programs. And guys, if you are stuck right now, if you are battling in your head with cognitive dissonance, and you're like, well, I know it'd be best for me to get off meat, to get off cooked food that has absolutely no nutritional value, that's just dead in my system, and my body has to literally work its ass off to try to process, and then it gets stuck in my system and causes cancer and causes disease and causes discomfort. If you're battling that, like, you know that it would be best to eat lighter, to eat less, and you just can't fathom it, right? You're like, but you can't, because you're battling old programs, because you're battling your habits, because you're battling the parasites inside of you. I would suggest jumping right into a 72-hour fast, a 3-day fast. Don't eat anything. Don't drink anything. Fuck that. Don't eat or drink anything. Nothing for 3 days. You'll blow your mind. It will blow your mind, because, see, we've been running off these programs that told us that we need to eat 3 times a day. And then, eventually we get to the point where, not only can you eat 3 times a day, but you can snack all day throughout the day because it makes you feel better. Again, you're just taking your bodily, the focus of your bodily systems and healing in between meals, and you're putting it onto another meal, onto another toxin. You're just rolling the debt you have to pay. It's like constantly refinancing your house and taking more money out. That debt is never going to go away. You're just rolling it over, and eventually your kids if you pass, your kids are going to now be stuck with that debt, that forever rolling over debt. It's not like you're fixing a problem. You're just putting a Band-Aid over it, in a temporary gratification over an immediate discomfort. That discomfort there's for a reason. Just like cancer, those things are there for a reason. They're your bodies and your minds and your spiritual warning system that, hey, something's wrong, we need to address this. And instead of addressing these things, we just continue to gloss over them, and to continue to put Band-Aids and temporary solutions to these problems, instead of really facing our shit and actually working towards and changing things that are necessary to stop the madness, stop the insanity, because that's what it is. It's insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting different results, and that's complete insanity. That is a sign of a sick mind, which in turn is a sick body, which in turn is a sick spirituality. And it all starts in the mind. So, if you're having this cognitive dissonance where you're understanding these things and these new concepts and these that you do have free will, that you do have a little bit of freedom, and that is what you put in your mouth and in your ears and your eyes and on your body and in your skin. Those are your choices, in that you can't just sit there and bitch about things all day long and then continue to poison yourself and expect other people to treat you any better than you're treating yourself. that's just crazy. So that's cognitive dissonance. You're having cognitive dissonance because you keep on looking for reasons. You're like, oh well, it doesn't matter anyways, I'm just going to die, so I'm just going to enjoy as much as I can while I can. When you're not enjoying anything. That's the thing. By taking these things in, by just continuing to eat junk food, by just continuing to drink alcohol, by just continuing to inject these poisons into your veins and up your nose and in your eyes, and the toxicity from the media in your ears and your eyes, you're not enjoying these things. These are literally just habits and programmings that you're running off of that give you just that little bit of safety net because that's all you've ever known. What it is you're just not being courageous. You're not being courageous to change these things that keep you enslaved. You're being lazy is what it is. It's laziness. It's pure laziness. And then you're turning around and justifying it through your cognitive dissonance instead of facing your shit through your reasoning and using your reasoning and saying, well, every time I fucking drink, I don't feel any better the next day. I keep on smoking the 2 dozen cigarettes a day, and, I got to buy another pack the other day, which is keeping me enslaved and keeping me, monetarily stuck in this system because I'm spending $300 a month on cigarettes, and I'm eating all this junk food and eating out every day, and that's cost me all this money, and plus my energy and my sickness and my health. But, I'm just going to keep on doing it because, that's cognitive dissonance, guys. You're justifying, instead of running through your active reasoning, your process of reasoning in your mind and saying, well, let me stop doing this. Let me try something different. Let me stop doing this and see what happens. So instead of changing your actions and your behaviors to get a different outcome, you just keep on doing the same thing, like you're running as fast as you can towards the grave. And guys, the grave's not going to come. Look, if you were really that tired of life, you would have offed yourself by now. You're obviously not going to off yourself, again, because you don't have the courage to. So you're stuck. So you're going to be alive. You're going to be alive, and if you're in your 30s, if you're in 40, you got another 40 years of this fucking hell to go. And it's going to be pure hell for you. Because if you think things are going to get better by you continuing to consume these things that are poisoning you, and in surrounding yourself with these people and these breads and circuses and these distractions, and things are just going to magically get better, and there's a savior that's going to come along and fix everything for you. You're out of your mind. You're insane. You are insane. You are out of your mind. You aren't using your mind. You have given your mind over to another. And that other is the same system that has enslaved you since birth, because they put you on the programs and that enforce the habits that you built up over the decades. And so that's what you're living in. You've basically given up and given over. You're face down, ass up, getting fucked. And that's what it is. Plain and simple. And you're doing it voluntarily and willfully. And what does a captor like? What is a predator like? Once his prey gives up and puts their face down and their ass up, he won. He won. He has you right where he wants you. So, that's just giving up. So I would suggest, if you're dealing with that cognitive dissonance, you go straight into a 72-hour fast, guys. That's 70. Why do I mention that? Why do I bring that up? Because a 72-hour fast is going to break so many mental chains that you have on you. Like, your brain tries to go here and there, but it's like stuck, and it just gets back in its hole and turns on the TV in the same old fucking stupid ass show or movie that you guys have watched a dozen times, and listen to the same fucking stupid ass song. When I talk like this, it reminds me of my dad. I mean, he loves that song "Highway to Hell" by AC/DC, and I would look at him, and I think about that all the time, and I'm like, man, that's just such a perfect example of being stuck, like in the insanity of your own choices, is living off the government's fucking toxic pills to stay alive, and instead of changing anything, just sitting there blasting that same stupid song that you've heard over thousands and thousands and thousands of times in your life, and you're singing along to it, "Highway to Hell." I mean, that's just pure insanity to me. That's craziness. Like, to knowingly choose that, and to be so insanely and madding, like madness. That's madness. That's craziness. That's like you've given up like full force to your enslavement and just embraced it and said, woohoo, you know, I'm going to enjoy the fuck out of every little benefit I get of being enslaved by not having the responsibility, the personal responsibility and discipline to take care of myself. And I'm just going to treat this fucking avatar, this physical avatar I'm in, like a total piece of shit, like goddamn everything else around me does, because I'm not worthy, you know? So, and that's why I mentioned a 72-hour fast, because what it's going to do is it's going to break so many mental bonds. You know, I hear all the time people like, you need to eat salt. You have to have salt. I haven't had salt in almost 6 months, and I have I work harder than the job type I'm in is at the top 1% of physical labor in the United States, I would say. I work as hard as, you know, I'm in the top 1% of physical laborers in the United States for the type of job I have. And I haven't had any salt in almost 6 months. Water, since I've been off, any day I don't work, I don't drink. I drink nothing. And I haven't had water in 6 months. I've been drinking tea. I make my own tea with like, it's got 8 or 9 or 10 different blends of teas that I steep and I make myself. But anyways, I don't even drink the tea. I haven't had water in 6 months. I don't drink the tea when I'm not working. So the past several days, I haven't had anything to drink. And I'm not dehydrated. I just went for a couple mile hike, through like a 3-mile hike to get up to where I'm at right now. I'm not even thirsty. What are the other ones? You have to eat 3 times a day. Horse shit. What are some other ones? You have to brush your teeth. Look at this, guys. You have teeth. Okay? I have been brushing my teeth about once a week for years. For years, brushing my teeth once a week. And that came from, look, I've learned that there's fluoride in our water, there's fluoride in toothpaste, and they tell you to brush your teeth 3 times a day and fucking drink fucking all this fluoridated water because the fluoride breaks down the enamel in your teeth. When I figured that out over a fucking decade ago, I was like, well, fuck, I'm not gonna fucking brush my teeth anymore. And goddamn, and I used to get cavities. I used to have cavities. I used to get tooth pain with frozen things. I used to get all kinds of problems with my teeth. And since for years, I've been brushing my teeth once a week. Once a week I brush it, because what happened after several months of doing that and getting away from that fluoridated toothpaste, and the only toothpaste I use is like all natural toothpaste. I've done charcoal toothpaste, those types of things. All natural, without any of the SLS, all that, those chemicals and everything that breaks down the enamel on your teeth. And since I, several months into doing that, my enamel, I could actually feel, put my tongue across it, and it's like glass. It's so smooth because, the enamel builds up on your teeth. It's our biological systems, guys. Everything that this fucking technology and, the advancement of science is trying to fix is all horseshit, guys. The war on cancer, the war on this, the war on terror, the war. They try to fix peace with war. I mean, it's the craziest fucking thing. It's all backwards. That's what this whole system, it's meant to cause cognitive dissonance, and then you just shut down your brain and just rely on the veracity of another, which is the veracity of the propaganda that was pushed in our fucking faces, in our ears, our whole lives. But when you break free from that and start thinking for yourself, and how do you start thinking for yourself? Again, if you are having issues with cognitive dissonance, you need to do a 72-hour fast, because it will help you break these mental chains. It will make you face the reality that you've been lied to. See, you don't want it. The underlying issue of why you're having problems coming past these things is because we, from a young age, from a baby, were forced into fight or flight and have been operating in that survival system ever since. So operating from that survival system, you are unable, you are living in survival. You're living moment by moment and just so there's no processing, there's no planning, there's no thinking, there's no reasoning. It's all we're relying, when you're stuck in that mode, you're relying on your quick instincts, and by now, after decades of doing that, you're so worn out psychologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically that you become lazy. So you're relying on the veracity of another. That's when you start displaying, you display Stockholm syndrome, because you start sticking up for your captor. You're like, oh, well, the government wouldn't do this. The government would, my doctor cares about me. I know him. He's got 3 kids and his wife is a beautiful woman and they attended my daughter's wedding. And no, it's all of this is set up, guys. This is a whole system. But like Shakespeare said, the world is just a stage, and all the people in here are just players. They're characters. Until you pull out of this system and detach and quit being on the upload and completely cut yourself off and reclaim your authority and your sovereignty, you are going to continue to play in that system, and everybody around you is a character, and you play your part, and well, this is just the way it is, and everybody does what they do, and oh, the good old doctor, he's here to help. He's got pills, they're great. And oh, the government, oh, we got to go to war with all these countries, it's great to save us. And so you just justify everything. It's through your cognitive dissonance. So by doing this, by getting back to the 72-hour fast, what it's going to do is it's going to break all those things that your government, that your doctor, that all these authority figures, that these programs have placed on you your whole life, telling you that you had to eat and drink every single day, that you had to intake salt, that you had to intake meat, that you had to brush your teeth every day, that you had to take a shower every day, that you had to do this. It's all lies. All of it. And when you do a 72-hour fast, you prove to yourself what you're doing is you are breaking the chains that bind you. You are breaking past, you are proving to yourself, oh my God, I can think for myself. Oh my God, I can think better than what all these authority figures and supposed saviors and supposed people who look out for my best interests have thought to do for my best interest. I think past that. I've just proved to myself that I actually know better how to take care of myself than they have ever shown. And so you start breaking these chains, and it becomes apparent, and then it becomes real. You bring these, even though oh, I know it'd be best if I quit eating meat. I know it'd be best if I quit participating in the propaganda and perpetuating this music and turning on this entertainment that keeps me distracted, and I know it'd be best if I quit eating every day, and I know it'd be best if instead of just being a thought in your head and a far away idea in some crazy, passing, spark of craziness, it becomes a reality. It becomes your reality, and then you can take that and you can run with it. And it's so inspiring. You're going to inspire yourself, because then you're going to start making choices based on what's best for you, not you as the collective of this grand play that we're stuck in this matrix that keeps us enslaved, but you as an individual human, a light being, not a dense fucking, stuck, playing along to get along, sacrificing your morals and ethics and what it means to be a human and what it means to do the right thing, instead of sacrificing that constantly to get along, to fit into social standards, to fit into toxic environments. You're going to start accepting your power and recognizing your power. And by doing that, see, we are a collective, but we're not a collective in the collectiveness of, you know, well, we're all going to wear pink ribbons for breast cancer because we're in a war for breast cancer, and somehow wearing a pink ribbon is going to fucking show my virtue signaling how great I am because I hate breast cancer. No. It's going to be, oh, what causes breast cancer? All these fucking intake of toxicity in our toxic environments. So what am I going to do? I'm going to be that example. I'm going to, instead of talking and wearing stupid pink ribbons and giving up my hard-earned money to further propagate and perpetuate these bullshit and illusion of nothingness that gets us nowhere and keeps us enslaved, I am going to take actual steps. I'm going to do the actual, I'm going to be the change. And that's empowering. That's extremely empowering. So, I think I'm going to end that here.